Hi everyone, welcome back to Beatles on Week with me, Matt Stead. In today's video we're going to take a look at one of my favourite songs off Rubber Soul, Norwegian Wood. John Lennon started writing the song in the winter of 1965 whilst he was on holiday in Switzerland. In one interview he said the song was entirely composed by himself, but in another he admitted that Paul McCartney had quite a lot of input, especially into the middle age section. Earlier that year in another interview, Paul McCartney said that the Beatles were starting to explore the comic possibilities of songwriting, and certainly Rubber Soul does show a little of that, especially with songs like Drive My Car and Norwegian Wood. The lyrics of the song are really interesting. The Norwegian wood refers to the cheap pine furniture that was being used in a lot of fashionable homes at the time. The character eventually uses this wood to start the fire and burn down the house. That wasn't even the most controversial thing. The song was hinting at an affair that John Lennon was currently having with a journalist behind his wife Cynthia Lennon's back, and the lyrics are really thinly veiled. It's quite obvious what's going on. A lot is made about this song using modal scales, but the Beatles themselves weren't really aware of things like modes. In fact, John said the Aeolian cadence sounds like an exotic bird. What's more likely to be going on here is that George had been introduced to the music of Ravi Shankar, and all of the Beatles expressed some interest in Indian music, including some uses of exotic scales and drone notes. David Crosby from the Byrds had introduced them to this type of music and Ravi Shankar, and in effect they were copying what they heard. Lennon at the time also became a little bit paranoid that the song sounded a little too much like some of the Bob Dylan songs that he'd been listening to at the time. However it came about, it's a lovely, beautiful little song with some really interesting exotic sounds, including the sitar. Let's have a listen at my arrangement on ukulele, and then I'll teach you how to play it step by step. I say she once had me. She showed me her room. Isn't it good? Norwegian Wood. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. Biding my time, drinking her wine. We talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed. She told me she worked in the morning and started to laugh. I told her I didn't and crawled off to sleep in the bath. And when I awoke, I was alone. This bird had flown. Isn't it good? Norwegian Wood. So the song itself is relatively simple and easy to play, and the chords aren't that hard at all. We just need to work out a way to tease out that lovely melody, and we also need to pay attention to the time signature as well. The time signature for this song is 6/8 time. That means there's 6 beats in every measure, and each of those beats is played as a quaver or an eighth note. In simple terms, that just means that we strum quickly 6 times per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll look at a more interesting way of strumming in a minute, but just in terms of the timing, let's think about how long we hold each of these chords for. So the G chord is held for 2 lots of 6 or 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we have half a measure of G, so you can count to 3. 1, 2, 3. We have 2 beats of F. 1, 2, 1 of C, and back to G again. I'll show you that in action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel free to pause the video at this moment and have a practice of that timing and strumming. It's really important because that's a large portion of the song. You could even slow it right down to help with the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fantastic. If you're interested in the theory behind the song, remember the Beatles didn't really know the names for these things that they were doing. They were just replicating what they heard in other forms of music. But this one was written in what we often refer to as the Mixolydian mode. If we think about the key of G, we know that the 7th note should be in F sharp. And if you don't know that, you can look it up, no problem at all. It's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then back to G. So every key has a certain amount of sharps and flats. G major has 1 and it's the F sharp. So we would expect any F note or F chord that comes up in this song to be in F sharp. But what we have here is a normal F major. That's half a step below an F sharp. And also in the melody we have an F rather than an F sharp. This one here. So rather than an F sharp note, we have an F note. So the Mixolydian mode is just like the G major scale. But the penultimate note, the 7th note, is flatted. Like so. And that's what gives the song its exotic feel. And whether the Beatles knew that or not is unimportant. What is important is it gives the song a really lovely exotic flavour. Now let's get back to that time signature and look at thickening up our strum. A really nice thing to do when playing in 6/8 time is to accent beats 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a neat way we can do this just by adding some up strums into our strumming pattern. What we're going to do, rather than just strumming down, 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 we're going to add some ups in like so. There's 2 ways you can think of this, either literally as down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Or the way I prefer to do is think about it phonetically and put words in place of the downs and ups. That would give us walk, running, running, walk, running, running, walk, running, running, walk, running, running. If I keep on strumming, notice that because we only have a down strum on beats 1 and 4, they're really emphasised. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you want, you can emphasise it even further by hitting just that little bit harder on beats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 4. Now this can be quite tricky, but let's see if we can put that strum pattern with those lovely chords. Remember, we're only going to stay on that F chord for 2 beats. What I'll do is I'll start by playing it really super slowly like this. And then we'll gradually speed it up from there. Join in with me after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll start by counting it along with you. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, F and C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can, let's try it a little faster again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Woo! Well done, everyone. And just so you can hear you've got a large part of the song already, let's try singing a verse. It's quite tricky to sing in this time signature, so if you want to, just play along with me whilst I sing, or just have a listen and you'll hear how that's a large part of the song, all the chords from the verse. It will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I once had a girl, or should I say she once had me. She showed me her room. Isn't it good? Norwegian Wood. Fantastic. We'll have a look at the full riff in a moment and I'll show you a really cool way to play this where we get the melody in there. But let's just use a snippet of that melody just to add a little extra to the verse. All you need to do is when you change to F, for the first beat on F, just strum down once normally. For the second beat, just add your little finger or your ring finger to the 3rd fret of the A string. And then when we go to the C chord, you can just take these off and then we revert back to the G. That will look like this. See that? Okay. If I put that in a verse, that will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I once had a girl, or should I say she once had me. What's going on there? Why does that sound so nice? Well, just by playing those chords in those shape, you're kind of highlighting notes from the chords, notes that belong in the melody. She once had me. You could emphasise that further by strumming down to whichever string contains the melody note. So down to this F note, the 3rd string down, all the way for this C note here. When we go to the C, top 3 strings, so you hear the E note. And then when you go to the G, just the top 2 strings. Notice that really brings out the melody. But the brilliant thing is we don't need to do that, because even when we're strumming, just by highlighting certain notes, our ears are almost tricked into hearing that melody. Isn't that cool? So let's try that with the first verse. Let's see if we can put those little extra notes in. That little finger on the F chord, that's all it is, going to the C and then the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me. She showed me her room, isn't it good? Norwegian Wood. And then one of those really slowed down. I once had a girl, so you can see it. Or should I say, she once had me. Back up to tempo. She showed me her room, isn't it good? Norwegian Wood. Let's take a look at the chorus next. The chorus is in something called the parallel minor. Now that sounds really fancy, but it's actually really simple. If we think about the original key of the song as being G major, and notice we open with a G major chord. The parallel minor just means rather than G major, we have G minor. It takes the song somewhere else and gives it a sense of darkness in these chorus parts. Incidentally, these chorus parts can also be referred to as middle eights. The Beatles often refer to them as that. Think of them as middle of the song, and there's 8 measures, which is exactly what's going on here. But for our sheets, let's just call them the chorus. A G minor is really closely related to a G major. If I play a G major chord like so, we have to change our fingers all around, but actually, if we think about it, only one note has moved. The third note in G, G, A, B, has become a B flat. B there has become a B flat, and that's what gives it that minor quality. In terms of the structure, we just have 2 whole measures of G minor, 1, 2, followed by 2 measures of C, 1, 2. Back to G minor, 1, 2, and then 1 measure of A minor and 1 of D. A quick little tip, when you go to the A minor, rather than using your second finger as I did there just without thinking, it would be better to use your first finger, because then when we drop down to the D chord, we only need to squish these 2 other fingers in here. Okay, that will look like this. Here's the A minor and D. Let's try that together. I'll give you a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, she. Notice that the word she comes on before the first G minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. Yeah, fantastic. Something you can do here to match what John Lennon was doing on guitar is to add some suspended 4th notes into the C chord. It's really simple and really effective. Sounds like this. Literally all I'm doing is playing a normal C for half measure, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm putting my first finger here on this F note, 1st fret of the E string, for another half measure. It will look and sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, off, 2, 3, on, 5, 6, 1, 2, Now you don't need to sweat the theory, but if you're interested, the reason we call that a C suspended fourth is we take the third note of a C chord, which is this E, C, D, E, so that's the third note, and we change it to the fourth note in the key of C, which is an F, C, D, E, F, hence suspended fourth. We only do it on that C chord. It will look and sound like this. You can join in or just have a listen for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. Then we'll go into another verse. Biding my time, drinking her wine. We talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed. Believe it or not, we're basically there. All we need to do is look at this riff, and this is the most exciting part. I think you'll really enjoy. So we know the riff goes like this. If you want to play along with me, it's the 5th fret to the 7th. And back again. Then down here to the 3rd fret. And then the 2nd. That will look and sound like this. Okay. Don't worry too much about which fingers you're using, because in a moment they're going to be on a chord. But that's our... Okay, if you like to know the notes, that's a high D, E, D, C, B. Okay, for the next part we have an open A, 3rd fret for C, 2nd fret for B, and then down here for this G note, 3rd fret for the E string. That will sound like this. The last bit, which sounds like this, you've already done, because that was in the verse chords where we had this. Okay. Now the cool thing is it's relatively easy to play these notes whilst playing the chords. It's not as bad as it looks. The only thing is the first 2 are a little bit of a stretch, and that's the reason I'm using a soprano uke today, to cheat, so it's less of a stretch. This is a bit more difficult to do on a tenor, but still doable. What we're going to do, rather than strumming a normal G chord, we're going to add our little finger here to the 5th fret for this high D note. Okay, that's the first note of the melody. Then you're going to take it up to the 7th fret. This is where the stretch comes in. Bring it back. Then bring it back to the 3rd fret. And then take it off. So in effect, if we think of numbers, you could think of that as 5, 7, 5, 3. And then you can either think of it as off or 2, because we've got this finger there. So that will look and sound like this. Okay. That gives us the really nice opening melody. Now you can try doing this whilst you're strumming, just like you were in the verses. Isn't that lovely? Let's try that slower. Yeah, fantastic. The next bit is super fiddly, so I've come really close so you can see what's happening with my fingers. What we do is we take this finger off the B note, off the 2nd fret of the A string. You put it back down, but also add your little finger, your pinky, to the 3rd fret. It's a bit of a squish lick. Then we take away the 3rd finger, and then we just strum a G chord again. So we get this. Now you might find that that last note is hidden. That one there, you're kind of missing that note there. But what I do to just emphasise that G note in the last part of the melody is when I'm strumming, I just hit this G string a little bit harder, really aim for it. Doesn't really matter, but it just emphasises it like this. Okay. See how I'm really pinging it. Let's try putting that together then with the first part of the melody. I'll start doing it super slow and then we'll speed it up gradually as we go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try that again a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, fantastic. The good news here is the last part of the melody you already know and you've already been doing it, because that's where we go to the F, add the high C, take it away and really emphasise that E, and then we're back to a G. Okay, so that's the end of the riff. If I put that together really slowly with the start of it, it'll sound like this. Next bit. And then F, little finger, and back to a G. Got it! Let's try putting that all together then. Now keep it going round and round. I'll start slow and then just gradually speed up. If you don't get past the first speed, don't worry, just pause the video, practice it. It could take quite some time to get used to this finger movement and then see if you can join back in. Okay, but join in with me after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A slow count to get us going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go a little faster. Faster still. What I love about the original is that it's a little bit rough and ready in terms of the guitar playing and sitar playing. So we've got really twangy sitar playing with a really big drone note. And then the acoustic guitar often buzzes as John moves his hand about for certain chords. So if you get a little bit of buzzing because you're hitting it really hard, don't sweat it. Just allow that to be part of the song. And that's it, folks. You've got the 3 parts it takes to make this song sound fantastic. We've got the riff with the melody note, then we've got the verses and the choruses, and basically that's it. You can use the sheet to guide you, but notice we basically have the riff, verse, chorus, another verse, riff, chorus, verse, and then a single riff to finish on. Apart from that last time, notice that the full riff is played twice. So twice for the introduction, then verse, chorus, verse, twice for this little instrumental, chorus, verse, and then just once in the outro. Of course, you can go back to my original demo version at the start of the video, but if you're not quite there yet, let's try playing this through really slowly, but in the right order, so you can practice along with me a little bit below tempo. I'll do this on close cam so you can see my finger, and I'll go at a nice slow pace, coming after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another time through that riff. Now just the chords for the verse. I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me. Showed me her room, isn't it good? Norwegian Wood. Now the chorus, G minor. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. Add those sus notes in if you like. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. Here comes the next verse. 1, 2. I sat on a rug, biding my time, drinking her wine. We talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed. Now the riff twice. And again. Now we're going to do another chorus, G minor. She told me she worked in the morning and started to laugh. Add those F notes in if you like. I told her I didn't and crawled off to sleep in the bath. Then we've got one last verse, just the chords. And when I awoke, I was alone. This bird had flown. So I lit a fire. Isn't it good? Norwegian Wood. Now one last riff and I start to slow down. And you can do a little shake tremolo at the end, just with the tip of your index finger, movement from the wrist, brushing lightly over all the strings. Brilliant. Well done everyone. You might have noticed that on the original that riff is played behind John's vocals, so basically when he's singing a verse you also hear that riff playing. But I've left it out on those parts and you might be wondering why. Well, on the original there's also a sitar that comes in really loudly on the introduction and the riff parts. Now we don't have a sitarist sat behind us ready to play, so we save those little melodic parts, the riffs, for the intro and the instrumentals, and it differentiates them from the verse. That's why we've done it. It sounds really nice and it gives the song room to breathe. Well, I really hope you enjoyed that. Isn't it amazing how that song transfers so brilliantly over to the ukulele? Have fun playing that, take your time and really, really enjoy it. I'll see you in the next Beatles on Uke lesson very soon. Take care everyone!